Is marijuana more dangerous than we're told? By Tucker Carlson. All right, let's take a look.
Momentum is building by the day to fully legalize marijuana nationally. 10 states have already done that. More restrictions fall away every election cycle. The federal government barely cares about fighting any of this. You hear less and less about the health.
The federal government doesn't barely care about fighting any of this. The federal government doesn't care about fighting any of this. Because let's remember, it's still a Schedule I drug. The federal government, federal law trumps state law, been decided a long time ago. So the federal government at any time could send in, the FBI or whatever to go shut down every legal dispensary under the sun and say this is a drug dealing operation and we are going to crack down on this. They have every right to do that. Obama explicitly said, I'm not going to do it. Trump has not explicitly said he's not going to do it, but he hasn't done it. He hasn't shown any inkling he's going to do it. So, there does not seem to be any major push on either side of the political aisle to use the cudgel of the federal government to shut down the free enterprise of marijuana entrepreneurs at this point in American history. Now, maybe that'll change if we get someone even worse than Trump somehow. But currently, we seem to be pretty safe in our weed legal states.
Health risks of marijuana. Does that mean there are no risks? Well,
no. No, you should never assume. It's pretty naive to assume that any drug has no risks. That's a pretty naive position. I know that there are a lot of, marijuana is a healer and it fucking comes from Mother Earth, man. Well, so does dog shit. So do poison berries, that you eat in the woods and make you sick and you vomit and you fucking get dysentery or something and you die. So yeah, you can't make the naturalist fallacy with it. You can't just assume that it's 100% positive. It's 100% good. Of course not. This is pretty ridiculous. But I can tell you this about marijuana. Is it way less harmful than booze? Yes. Is it way less harmful probably than caffeine even? Yes. And, look, I love booze, I love caffeine, I love marijuana, I love drugs. Let's just be honest. But marijuana is one of the safest drugs out there. Literally impossible to overdose on. The amount that you would have to take to actually overdose on marijuana is insane. And I'm talking about overdose to death. I'm not talking about overdose to the point of a panic attack. That's not hard to do. You can get there pretty quick. And I've been through it. It's a bad experience. It's not good. But for the most part, you can't die on it unless you're like so high, like I think I can fly. No, dead. And that has happened. In all fairness, that has happened. But by and large, safer than most of the drugs. That are really way safer than smoking cigarettes. Another thing I like, unfortunately. I'm just a fucking, I'm just like a drug hotel. It's like, put drugs here, put them wherever. I don't care. Suppository? Oh, this will make you fucking high. What do you got to do with it? Oh, you just shove it up your ass. Okay, I'm good with that. I wish bananas did that. Jeez. Anyway, I don't know.
Well, only that many people have an interest in concealing them. Alex Berenson is a former New York Times reporter. He's a great novelist. Now he's the author of an unexpected new book called Tell Your Children, The Truth About Marijuana, Mental Illness, and Violence. He joins us today.
All right, so I don't have children, but if I did, I'd tell them, hey, this is marijuana. It's pretty awesome, but you can't do it until you're 18. And that'd be about what I'd say. Don't read this book. It's lies.
All right, Mr. Berenson, thank you very much for coming on. I say unexpected because your bio gives no hint of the kind of person who would write this book, but you have. Why did you write it? What did you find?
Well, you can blame my wife because she's she's.
All right, I do. Alex Berenson's wife, fuck you for making this horrible, deceitful book happen. There you go. I'm blaming your wife, just like you commanded me to.
A psychiatrist, a forensic psychiatrist, and that means she deals with the criminally mentally ill.
Yes.
And
Right.
a couple of years ago, she said to me, practically every case I see, people were using cannabis at the time they committed these terrible crimes. And I said to her, that sounds like nonsense. That sounds like reefer madness. And she said, maybe you should look at the studies instead of mansplaining me. And I did. And of course, never argue with your wife. She was totally.
So, yeah, marijuana, always marijuana, just every time. All these criminals, all the time, marijuana, marijuana, marijuana. So it couldn't just be that criminals do drugs because they're criminals and they don't care about the law. And, marijuana happens to be the most popular illegal drug. So therefore, by virtue of that, a lot of them are on weed. I mean, you mean to tell me that drunks ain't starting shit in this country? Because I've seen a lot of violence go down fueled by not marijuana, but booze. Tons of it. No one's talking about, we need to tell the truth about booze. No, you're allowed to advertise booze in the Super Bowl. You're allowed to say, this is Coors Light, and this is Corona, and this is Stella Artois, and this is fucking Bacardi, and this is whatever. Super Bowl doesn't turn down one single ad from the booze companies, from the people selling that fucking poison to you. And I'm going to tell you something. As a guy who has done some fucking drugs, nothing has ever fucked me up worse than drinking too much. And I'm talking acid has not done it. Shrooms have not done it. Weed has not even come close to doing it, even during the weed panic attack that I had. Because I've only had one. I have not done cocaine and shit like that. I've done some pills. I've done all kinds of stupid fucking drugs. And I've gotten all kinds of crazy loopy fucking effects. But I'll tell you, the most fucked up that I ever was with something I walked right into a fucking supermarket and bought from a counter without controversy, without anyone caring or blinking an eye or thinking less of me. That's what fucked me up the worst. The worst. Now, of course, with alcohol, it's all about quantity. Because you can drink just a little bit and be like, I'm kind of tipsy. Or you can go way overboard and get so fucking drunk that you can't see an inch in front of your face and you can't control your bladder and you're fucking crying and you can't control your emotional states and you're just lost in an abyss of your fractured mind. You can get to that point on booze. You can consume so much caffeine. A drink that we don't even have an age restriction on caffeine. There's no age restriction on it. You can have as much fucking caffeine as you want. A little fucking 10-year-old can go buy a goddamn Red Bull. There's no law that says he can't. But if you can drink so much fucking caffeine, you can overdose on caffeine. Way easier than you can overdose on marijuana. It's happened. Doesn't happen a lot because it does take a lot of caffeine to overdose on caffeine. But it's not that hard. You could do it. You go buy a bunch of caffeine pills at the pharmacy or something. Maybe there's an age restriction on that. I don't know. But you go buy a bunch of fucking caffeine pills at the pharmacy. You down that whole fucking thing of caffeine pills. Probably gonna die. Your life is at least in jeopardy at that point. And no one gives a shit. That's fine. That's okay. I'm tired of this inconsistent stance that our country has on drugs in general. Anyway, let's let them get into it.
Right. It turns out that there is a proven link between cannabis and psychosis. There's a very, very strong...
Oh, there's a proven link between cannabis and psychosis? A proven link? Holy shit. Well, that defeats... Oh, wait, hold on. Here's the New York Times, the very same paper this guy writes for, by the way. Can cannabis use cause psychosis? Yes. But so can overuse of caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, stimulants, and hallucinogens. Psychosis is a symptom, a temporary disorientation that resembles a waking dream with odd imagined sights and sounds, often accompanied by paranoia or an ominous sensation. So can marijuana cause that? Yes. Yes, it absolutely can. But can caffeine cause that? Yes. Can nicotine cause that? Yes. Can alcohol cause that? Yes. Can any stimulant cause that? Yes. Can a hallucinogen cause that? Most fucking definitely. In fact, if you're taking hallucinogens, you're probably kind of going for that. So, bullshit, my good friend. It's such a little selective piece of information. Marijuana has been proven to cause psychosis. First of all, in what percent of people who use it? Second of all, why aren't you telling them that the caffeine in the Coca-Cola you let your kids drink could also cause psychosis? Where's that information? Just to be, fair and balanced. I know Fox News dropped the whole fair and balanced sham a few years back, but seems to me like that's kind of a pertinent, important thing here when you're kind of weighing this out. Like, oh, marijuana causes psychosis. Oh, that's bad. It's bad. It can cause psychosis. It's a drug. You know why people take drugs? To alter their mental state. Do you know what happens when you alter your mental state? You alter your mental state. And sometimes that alteration can lead to psychosis. Yeah, that happens. So what? So fucking what?
Risk that if you smoke too much when you're in your teens, you're more likely to develop schizophrenia, which is really a devastating mental illness.
Okay, so once again, back to the same New York Times article. Can heavy use cause schizophrenia or other syndromes? That is the big question, and so far the evidence is not strong enough to answer one way or the other. Even top scientists who specialize in marijuana research are divided, drawing opposite conclusions from the same data. So this is being presented by this guy as like, marijuana in teens can lead to the development of schizophrenia. It's just being presented out there as like, that's a fact. That's proven. Well, it's not proven. There's still healthy debate around that. And even if that were proven, there's a thing called alcohol-induced schizophrenia. You ever heard of that? Look it up. It's a real thing. Once again, a drug that for the vast majority of the American people, totally uncontroversial. I could, within like a fucking 5-mile radius of my house, do you know how many places I could go buy booze right now? I would guess it's probably upward of 100. And I'm not even in a highly populous area. Because literally, any gas station I go to around me is going to have some booze. I can think of at least 5 or 6 liquor stores just up the street. Every supermarket, I can buy booze. How many restaurants around me can I buy booze? Tons of them. Maybe I can't buy hard liquor at all of them, but I can buy at least some beer at most of the restaurants around me. I could definitely buy hard liquor at some of them. And then there's bars around me. There's so many places. And I'm sure that you know, if you live in even a somewhat populous area, I'm sure that you can think of at least 5 or 6 places that are not even a fucking long drive from your house. You could probably think of 5 or 6 places that you could be to in 5 to 10 minutes that'll sell you some fucking alcohol. But no, does it have to say on every bottle of alcohol, Surgeon General's warning may cause schizophrenia? No. You know why? Because that's a fucking statistical outlier. It's not likely to happen at all. And even if you can prove some kind of link between marijuana and schizophrenia, it's the same way. It's a fucking outlier. It's a fucking outlier. Because you know what? If there was a strong connection between smoking some weed and getting schizophrenia, this country, we would be drowning in schizophrenic people. Now, I think that this country as a whole sometimes is kind of schizophrenic, but that's just because you got so many different people running around with so many different ideas and so many different perceptions. But in terms of an individual being schizophrenic, they're a tiny little speck of the fucking population. Very few schizophrenic people running around this country. And I've known some. And, I don't know if marijuana contributed to any of the schizophrenia that I've ever seen or encountered in my life. But I can tell you this. schizophrenia is marginal, and obviously schizophrenia appears all the time in people who've never fucking touched marijuana in their fucking lives. And in fact, I did some research and reading onto this. Some schizophrenic people actually use marijuana to keep their symptoms under control. Now, that doesn't work for everybody. Sometimes marijuana makes it worse. A lot of times it does. But for some people, it's actually helpful in dealing with their schizophrenia. But the jury is still out. The jury is still out. You know, and I'm not sitting here right now being just as bad as this guy and saying there's no way there's a link. There's no fucking way there's a link. Maybe there is. But if there is, it's like this. It's a little tiny thing. It's a little speck. Oh, look how small. Look how tiny. Look how insignificant.
For people, awful for not just for the people who suffer, but their families. It destroys families, and furthermore, there's a downstream link between psychosis and violence. So, reefer madness basically is real, as a psychiatrist in Australia said to me.
Okay, go watch the film Reefer Madness. I'm assuming if you're saying Reefer Madness is real, then go watch the film Reefer Madness and explain to me how it's even remotely realistic. In Reefer Madness, you literally have like straight-laced kind of like, I am a good upstanding, oh, what is this? Some marijuana. Oh, now I am a murderous psychopath on a killing spree, and I have no regard for the safety of myself or others. If you're going to look at that film and say, oh, that's a realistic film, then you're not to be taken seriously, sir. On the basis of it causes psychosis like every other fucking drug ever, and it may have some link to schizophrenia that hasn't even been proven yet, then on the basis of that, Reefer Madness is an accurate film. That's just dumb. That's just fucking back-asswards, stupid fucking thinking. It's like saying because, you saw a weird light in the sky that you couldn't identify, that means that, that's a definite confirmation that extraterrestrials are coming down to this planet, abducting people and performing experiments on them and shoving anal probes in them and things. Which, maybe that's happening, but you seeing a fucking light in the sky is not evidence of it. You're taking like a little tiny insignificant data point and extrapolating it so far beyond what it actually indicates. You're just a disingenuous, lying piece of shit. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't blame you. Blame your wife. Your wife made you a disingenuous, lying piece of shit. And she should be ashamed.
To me,
wait, do you know how let me just pause by noting.
God, I'm just looking at that joint. I'm just like, give me that fucking joint.
How uncool you sound by saying that.
I know. You know what? I don't care. I have kids.
Wow, that's the token opposition that Tucker Carlson's going to put up with that. You know, what you're saying sounds uncool. How about unscientific, unfounded, divorced from reality? How about that criticism? Because that's the actual criticism, not like, that's uncool. I mean, like, how old are you, Tucker? Like, are you still in high school? Do you still think that people go around judging shit by what's cool and uncool? Like, if you are, like, over 20 and you still give a fuck about what anyone thinks is cool or not cool, you're a dumbass. I feel like I said dumbass in a really weird way there. That was uncool. I'm sorry, guys. I want to be cool.
I don't want them to get psychosis. I don't want them to get schizophrenia.
Yeah!
I want to tell them the truth. And, the reason I wrote this book is so that parents, who have kids.
I got a joint now. What's that? Urge to kill rising. Oh, yeah. Rape and kill. Rape and kill. Oh. Yes, Satan. Yes. My master. My dark lord. Yes. Yes. I see. I see now. The blood of the non-believers. Yes, it must spill. Oh, one more hit. Okay, wait. Now I'm getting too lazy. Sorry, Dark Lord. I'll do it later. Oh. Okay, urge to kill fading. Oh. I mean, are you serious? Are you fucking serious? You know. What's that other voice in my head from my schizophrenia I just developed? Oh, I see. Yeah, the other voice in my head also thinks you're an irrational prick. Just wanted to let you know. Here you go, baby. My beautiful wife brought me a joint. Your wife made you write a shitty book. My wife brings me a nice, delicious, juicy, tantalizing, schizophrenia, psychosis-free fucking joint. So pretty, so beautiful. Next story. Thank you very much.